whatever you wind up doing is exactly what you should be doing.
And I have not behaved one single day of my life. Not one day of my life have I behaved, and I am fine.
I need your help. I can't tell you what it is. You can never ask me about it later, and we're gonna hurt some people.
Whose car are we gonna take?
Good afternoon. It is Wednesday, and thank you all for joining us. And yes, I think I'm going to sniff throughout the whole entire show just to be like old sniffer Donald Trump during his announcement yesterday. That wasn't a surprise to anybody that he was running for president. So we will be getting into that. A lot of reaction. We're going to deal more with the reaction. I know Mark, of course, touched on it as well. He played some of the speech. Thank God I didn't watch it. How many of you in the live chat actually watched what was like an hour long speech? I was waiting outside my kid's parkour lesson, working on the show like parents do. And I turned it on, and I have a satellite radio option in my car because surprisingly, like the local channels weren't covering it unless I missed something. The local channels weren't covering it, like NPR wasn't covering it. I don't want to use my phone because again, I was working. So the satellite radio gives you like CNN and Fox News. God, I can't handle the fact that he's already announced and now we have to like cover it as if we want him to be president again. But there's been a lot of reaction. We'll have some of it. I'll also play you some clips. You'll hear some clips because I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube again. I'll play you some clips from David Muir's interview with former Vice President Mike Pence, who is sounding awfully like he's going to run for president as well. Now, he failed last time and ended up being the running mate of former President Trump, but we'll have some of that and what he has to say. Adam Kinzinger was also reacting. Also this morning, we'll get into one, what does this mean for the investigation for old Sniffer? It doesn't stop it, spoiler alert. And then we'll get into who's going to be the next Speaker of the House. And so while Californian Kevin McCarthy over in Bakersfield has some votes, majority votes, he doesn't have enough votes. And he sure as hell doesn't have enough votes to be the majority. So we'll hear from people like Matt Gaetz, who is not a never Trumper, but a never McCarthyer. I guess you could say that. We'll get into the Ticketmaster fiasco. I want to hear from you guys in the live chat if anybody was successful getting Taylor Swift tickets. I didn't get the pre-sale invitation, but once again, there is this call to break up Ticketmaster. And, it's been going on since the 90s for people calling out Ticketmaster for their practices. And so we'll get into that. We'll talk about that. Tom Brady has made a physical change to his appearance. I will show you what that looks like. A segment today called What Were They Thinking? A bunch of stories on, did they really do that? Is that what they really did? Again, we'll also hit the skies. We'll talk about some deals that are happening. Holiday season, people wanting to travel. There are some good deals. Hell's Kitchen own Gordon Ramsay is itching to have a restaurant in San Francisco, but I'll tell you what he said about what is his favorite cuisine when he comes to the city by the bay. But right now, while we're thinking about it, please do what we do on this show. Please do what we do and smash that button.
Come on, push the button.
We should just smash them.
So I want you to smash them. I want you to smash that thumbs up button right now. Hello to everybody on Facebook. You can't smash the YouTube button, but it does help if you hit the likes button on Facebook. You can do that. Show us some love over here on the Nikki Medoro show. But hit that thumbs up button, and that just shows me that you're supporting the show. The Super Chat is live, and we are going to give big shout outs throughout the show. for people who decide to buy, a super chat, a super sticker, a super thanks, giving me some love. I will read your comments or your questions or whatever you want to say. I know there's been some birthday announcements and I love you announcements. You can give those as well. And then, of course, find the links to share the show. That's what I love for you to do. Just go to my website, thenikkimedoroshow.com. There's also a link to become a monthly Patreon subscriber. It's just a few bucks, a cup of coffee, a day or even a month. It can really help us out. It adds up and helps keep the light on and helps me continue doing the show because I want to continue doing it this way. With Station X all gone, and I don't even know anybody out there listen to that sports betting. I mean, I think it's absolutely ridiculous, but they're doubling down on that nonsense, and so we're doing this. I love the community that we're building, and it's going to be fun. Okay, so let's get into it, shall we? So again, some of you in the chat are saying that you had to watch it, that you just really wanted to watch the announcement by old Sniffer. I'm going to call him that. I'm just going to do it. But Valley Star, no, he's a clown. Yeah, are you serious? Did not watch. Well, I'm only going to play this little bit of old Sniffer's announcement.
In order to make America great and glorious again, I am tonight announcing my candidacy for President of the United States.
President of the United States. Yeah. So, a bunch of people all drooling over themselves. I guess you couldn't find a black person in the bunch in that crowd of white people holding up their phones, as I think Mark had said. He doesn't care. He doesn't care about the diversity. At least he didn't go down the escalator again, right? I mean, that was absolutely ridiculous. Now, here's a question for you. Do you think, because I was telling you how hard it was for me to find it on the radio, even though it's Station X, we totally would have carried it live, I'm sure. Do you think that the news should have covered the whole speech? Now, I understand covering the initial announcement. Basically, what I just played for you is my vote. But do you think they should have played it in their entirety? Because there was a bit of a debate going on online. Let's welcome Kim McAllister before I get into that. Hello, Kim.
What up? How are you?
I am good. I was talking about old Sniffer's announcement.
Oh.
I played just the announcement itself. I did not want to play any more of it, but just simply, I am announcing my run for President of the United States. And the question that I was asking was, do you think networks should have covered the whole entire thing? So here was one of the tweets. Deborah Saunders, her Chronicle writer, she writes all over the place. So she was reacting to this guy, John Ziegler, saying CNN is carrying Trump's announcement live while MSNBC is not. You have to give MSNBC some respect for at least being consistent. And she says, I disagree. CNN is running with Trump's announcement because it's news. And he says the speech is not news. His announcement he's running is news. You wait for that to happen. Report it. Play a short taped clip. See how easy that was? And that's what I did. Played the announcement. And that's it. So what do you think? Do you think it should have been carried wall to wall?
As a news person, I see it as news. However, I think a lot of people disagree. Case in point, I'm in this chat of moms that are political, that, write notes at election time and whatever, and are constantly paying attention to all things politics. And one of the moms, after the announcement last night, said, I hope the media doesn't make the same mistakes they made in the past. We have to hold them accountable when they start doing it again. Now, I didn't question her on to what it was, but I think people were disillusioned with how the media gave so much attention to the former president. And but you can't not cover the January 6th hearings. You can't not cover all the lawsuits against the former president in Georgia and other places. So how do you balance, dumping a bunch of attention on a now candidate versus, just not covering the things that are important? And I feel like, some people will say every time you mention Trump, you're giving him attention.
Yes.
But we still have to do the news. We still have to cover and tell people what's important and, let them know about stories of the day and let them decide whether or not they want to hear it or tune out. That's just kind of, I think, where we go with it.
Yeah, well, coming up, I'm going to play you some reaction, not just to the speech, but of course, to him even being in this race and maybe trying to hide from, I don't know, some sort of criminal investigations that may be going on. But one person who I would never switch away from is our good friend and founding sponsor, Steve Moskowitz. Now, Steve, you're a voice I want to listen to, not old Sniffer's voice, in my opinion, but you're giving me truths and facts, not lies and sniffs.
That's right. And mine can be backed up with the tax law.
There you
So it's
go.
not just, well, Steve thinks, or it's a nice day. And two big things I want to talk about today is, look, it's already the middle of November. And one of the things that I want to avoid is March Madness. Now, I'm not talking about the college basketball, but people get really mad when they look at their taxes in March and say, how could I owe all that money? The big companies aren't paying. Well, that's why I became a lawyer, because I was already a practicing CPA when I went to law school. And I said, these big companies make all this money and they legally don't pay taxes. What's the secret? So I went to learn the secrets. And this can be done for much, much smaller companies. And there's all kinds of good things that we can do here. So we go over that with you. And then on the other hand, this morning has been a very exciting morning because I'm watching all the ERC money
Yeah.
come to the clients. And for those of you that haven't done that yet, ERC, Employee Retention Credit, this is the federal government rewarding you for employing people in 2020 and 2021. And they're giving away, it's not a loan, it's a grant, it's a gift. They're giving away up to $26,000 for every employee you have. So if you had 10 employees, that would be up to over $250,000. If you had 20, up to over $500,000, and so on and so on and so on. So what we have here is, well, what do I have to do to qualify? There's two ways. The easy way, a certain drop in gross revenue. But a lot of companies are stopping there. A lot of CPAs say, well, if you didn't have the gross revenue drop, no ERC for you, goodbye. That's not what the law says. Just like Nikki said, we're looking at the law now. The law says either or. That's the easy way. The other way, it's a lot more complicated. That's why a lot of companies don't want to bother with it. You have to sit down and figure out, were my facts and circumstances such that I would qualify? And Nikki, we take that very seriously. For example, when I'm talking with clients, sometimes they don't have enough information for me. So I give them homework and say, okay, look, I need to know, find out this and this and this for me. And then we have a second meeting. Because if you're entitled to it, I want you to get every dollar to which you're legally entitled. Now, on the other hand, if you're not entitled, a lot of people are, but some aren't, you want to avoid with an 11-foot pole these pop-up companies that are saying everybody qualifies, and they've just come into existence just to do ERC. There's nothing else. They're not law firms. They're nothing. Just popped up out of nowhere, file the forms, and then disappear into the night. And when the IRS has a few questions, you're not going to be able to find them. You don't want to, obviously, you do not want to commit any type of frauds. You do not want to commit a tax fraud, but you do want to get all the money to which you're legally entitled. That's what we talk to you about, and we'll explain to you. If you don't qualify, we'll tell you why. But if you do, and a lot of people do, let's get every dollar to which you're legally entitled, not to mention all the kinds of tax benefits.
Exactly. I mean, Steve is the guy to call. He knows it. He'll do the work that the other places, they're just too lazy to do. So give Steve a call, 888-TAX-DEAL, or find him online at moskowitzllp.com. That is moskowitzllp.com. Steve, thank you
That
so
just
much.
makes my day, Nikki.
I try to sing it just for you, Steve. Always.
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much. We'll talk
Thanks.
later. Yeah. So Steve Moskowitz, awesome guy. Give him a call. He'll explain everything to you. Okay, let's get into it. So he makes his announcement. We're talking about old Sniffer. And Kim, I said, because I've been having a cold, I'm just going to sniff through the whole entire newscast because apparently you can run for president and not give a crap if you're sniffing in the microphone.
Now, do you find that he's old Sniffer because he sniffs a lot? I have to tell you, I never noticed.
You don't notice the fact that he's constantly sniffing all of the time? I don't know if it it's a bit
I may have noticed in the past. Yes.
Yes, he can't seem to stop sniffing. Okay, so Fox News cut away after 40 minutes. I mean, Fox, I think, is just getting done with them. He's gotten them in trouble with the whole Dominion and all of that sort of nonsense that went around with the election fraud. But it also went on way too long. You would think somebody that made, part of his whatever wealth on television with The Apprentice with no editing and doing things like that. He was quite on speech. He looked like he was reading the entire time, although the ad libs were a little awkward. He seemed to stay on the speech most of the time. And some people were saying, Kim, that could have saved him if they wanted him. If he would have done that last time, stayed on script, he wouldn't have lost to Joe Biden. I don't think it's in him. I think that when he's in front of people, he just has to let it out.
Here's a guy who has really not had the focus of the national spotlight on him for a while, right? And so maybe he missed it. Maybe he just didn't want to, give up that light too soon and bask in it as long as possible last night.
Yeah, exactly. All right, but let's get into some reaction to this. And I apologize if you hear snoring. My doggy co-anchor is fast asleep back here. Okay, so there was the debate over whether the network should carry it. I don't think so. I think just doing it really, really quickly. But before I get into the run and Adam Kinzinger and other people like the former vice president reacting, did you guys see this video? Now, this was outside Trump Tower in Manhattan. And this was posted yesterday, so I'm assuming. I'm going to preface this. Apparently, reportedly, it was not a big crowd. Okay, so we're not talking about a ton of people here. But I do want to play this for you, and I hope that the sound comes through. Yell at me in the chat if you guys can't hear it, because it's not worth it if you can't hear it. But these are the Trump supporters who are out in force for good old, well, someone wants me to call him Florida man. I like old sniffer.
USA! USA! This is very disrespectful in the Arab states.
Ronda's got two big Chris bridges.
He's out.
He has plenty of time to gain wisdom.
Trump or death.
Trump or death.
Let him stay in Florida for a while.
Remember when the Saddam Hussein statue came down?
Right, yes.
Remember when the Saddam statue came down? Hey. My father used to say to me, he used to say, son, I brought you into this world, I can take you out.
Everything
We're taking him out.
Everything he's got, he has to Trump.
It's Trump or death.
Trump
I want to get a message out. I want to send a message. You think Nancy Pelosi might watch this? Well, Nancy, your reign of terror is almost over, and I hope you realize there's no ice cream in hell. And your husband's a cruiser. He cruises for rough trade on Castro Street.
Ew. Ew. Those people are ew.
Yeah. So they're still there. Now, who's exhausted? Who's exhausted by all that?
I just have to say that it was, at one point we would look at them and go, oh, God, look at those crazy people. They think they're being funny. We can ignore them, right? And then January 6th happened. And those crazy people made a big impact on this country and almost broke it, I would say. And were it not for a few people who stood up for democracy, we can't look away from those crazy people anymore. We have to look at them and go, okay, we've got a problem again. And if that's who's supporting Trump, that's who we don't want to support in this country. That's what we have to turn away from.
Yeah. But I wonder if people, and I don't know if this is just my politics showing and hopeful thinking, but does anyone else think that it was kind of this weird, fascinating thing to watch, all of these Trumpers and what they would say? Now it seems tired and old. It's like the temper tantrum, right? Like the new parent gives into the kid that's throwing a temper tantrum, and the older parent that's been through it a few times is like, yeah, we're not dealing with this nonsense anymore. We're done. And I'm hoping that America has grown up a bit as a parent and realizes we don't need to deal with this anymore at all. Now, as far as the coverage of the debate, this headline, got to give it up to NPR. Breaking. Donald Trump, who tried to overthrow the results of the 2020 presidential election and inspired a deadly riot at the Capitol in a desperate attempt to keep himself in power, has filed to run for president again in 2024. That is how you write a headline. That is exactly true. And I hope that it hits people that way. It understands that this is who we're dealing with. You're actually applauding this guy? Oh, the country was great under me. People stormed the Capitol, called for the hanging of Mike Pence, who we'll get to in just a moment. But I first want to play you sound from Congressman Adam Kinzinger a Republican. And yes, he was part of the January 6th committee, but he was talking about Trump's speech and the timing of it. And he made a very good point about the fact that look how early it happened. So here is one clip from Adam Kinzinger. Listen to this.
Donald Trump's announcing his presidential candidacy again today. The earliest I think anybody ever has, because he just can't have people not pay attention to him. But anywhere he goes, he brings fear, he brings division, he brings anger. In fact, he rose to power through abuse and intimidation. I want to talk a little more about the abuse, but think about this. He has lost every election he's been in or been associated with. And he even lost the popular vote in 2016 pretty significantly.
Pretty significantly. I mean, he lost the popular vote. He lost against President Joe Biden. But the abuse is what I think Adam Kinzinger really hit the nail on the head. Yeah, hit the nail on the head. Make sure I get my sayings right. Because again, if your father, mother, grandparent, uncle, relative, friend is still a Trumper, have them listen to this.
Today's announcement means more abuse. It means that
abuse.
The seniors on the fixed income, they'll be bled dry by $10 or $20 at a time by those breathless emails and text messages that they get, instilling fear. In fact, he spent just a fraction of any of the money he's raised on a campaign. Remember back in the whole Stop the Steal thing, he raised hundreds of millions of dollars and never did anything to try to stop the so-called steal that didn't exist anyway. Mm-hmm. And then we find out later, like, he knew that the election wasn't stolen, but when he sees people, all he sees is dollar signs. So just know, when he says he cares about his people and then he drains them of their money using fear, lies, he's an abuser and he's a con man. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump is a stain on our nation. And unfortunately, we're going to have to keep hearing from him again and again, and more people will give and be abused. But to my fellow Republican leaders, listen, if you want to ever look in the mirror without shame, stand up and speak out now.
Well, I wonder how many will. I'm really interested to see Ron DeSantis' reaction to Trump's announcement. We played you a little of him saying, when you're leading and you're the leader, kind of people come at you, but he didn't mention Trump by name. Well, what about Trump's literal number 2, Vice President Mike Pence? So he did an interview Monday night with ABC's David Muir. Now, of course, David straight up asked him, do you think the former president should be president again?
Given all that you witnessed in the Capitol on that day, this is a pretty straightforward question, a yes or a no. Do you believe that Donald Trump should ever be president again?
David, I think that's up to the American people.
True,
but I think we'll have better choices in the future. The people of this country actually get along pretty well once you get out of politics. And I think they want to see their national leaders start to reflect that same compassion and generosity of spirit. And I think, so in the days ahead, I think there will be better choices.
Better choices than Donald Trump.
He's like, me, how about me?
For me and my family, we will be reflecting about what our role is in that. But
will you run for president in 2024?
Well, we're giving it consideration in our house. Prayerful consideration.
Do you believe you can beat Donald Trump?
Well, that would be for others to say. And it'd be for us to decide whether or not we'd want to test that.
So if you decide to run and he's up there, so be it.
So be it.
So be it. Now, I do think that Pence most likely will throw his hat into the race. But, it's one of these questions of, one, I don't think that Pence is a very good candidate. I don't think, even though he may try to play the moderate, he was the vice president. He allowed and did not speak out in any way, shape, or form at the important moments on what Trump was doing. And I'm not a Pence fan, right? I mean, the whole mother, I won't have dinner with a woman by myself type of nonsense. It just doesn't make sense. We have time for another quick clip. Again, this was ABC's David Muir's interview with the former Vice President Mike Pence, talking about former President Donald Trump's tweet on January 6th and how Pence felt about it.
Members were barricaded inside the House chamber. And in the middle of it all, you can see that the president has tweeted. 2:24 p.m., the president tweets, Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done.
It angered me.
It angered me. I was angry.
But I turned to my daughter, who was standing nearby, and I said, it doesn't take courage to break the law. It takes courage to uphold the law. I mean, the president's words were reckless. It was clear he decided to be part of the problem.
Yeah, they were reckless. He was the problem, to kind of put a finer point on it. And again, everything that was done, I mean, the election fraud, the insurrection, not to mention his company, right? Trump Organization, their chief financial officer just testified at the fraud trial. Could implicate Trump himself, although he's trying to play like, I didn't know. I thought you were the mastermind of everything. Jen Psaki actually came out and was trying to clarify for people. Here's her tweet yesterday. For anyone who needs to hear this, Trump announcing he is running for president does not have a legal impact on investigations. No one at the DOJ watched that speech and ripped up all of the work they had been pursuing. That is an important point to make. Yeah. It continues. Merrick Garland is continuing to do it. He will not play on anyone else's timeline. Yes, the January 6th committee is going to be disbanded or whatever, but Merrick Garland has all of that information. He is still Attorney General. The suit against the Trump Organization continues. They could be fined millions of dollars. So Weisselberg is the CFO, and he is testifying. He's cooperating with a plea deal. So he had a 5-month jail sentence. If he didn't, he can get 15 years in prison. Trump Organization accused of helping top executives, including Weisselberg, avoid paying income taxes on compensation they got, in addition to their salaries. Prosecutors argue the Trump Organization is liable for the scheme because Trump's organization and Trump was a high managerial agent entrusted to act on behalf of the company. And of course, they deny any wrongdoing in any of the suits. And that's because that's what they always do. What do you expect them to do? Yeah, Debbie, Pence is a spineless ninny. Thank God he didn't fold on January 6th, but that's all I can give him credit for. Yeah, pretty much. And it was huge. Huge. It was huge for him to do that. And I'm assuming, I would hope it wasn't hard to do. I imagine it was. I feel like he might have been out there on his own and was probably hearing things from some nincompoops on the GOP. Let's see. Pence had a check with Dan Quayle about the powers of the vice president. Really? I did not know that. I don't know if you're joking, but I didn't know that.
No, he did. He called Quayle to talk about, what Trump was asking him to do, and could he stand in the way?
I see.
Right.
I see. I
and
thought he was
Quayle's
just
like, no, the vice president can't do that. Yeah.
That's funny.
I don't know. I guess I don't have a problem with him calling a predecessor, and he knew the right thing to do. Yeah, he knew it.
Well, we've clarified it, and obviously the role of the vice president and that sort of thing. We're going to do some news. We'll take a little break from politics. Next hour, we'll get into the fight over the next Speaker of the House. Now, our own Kevin McCarthy from Bakersfield, although I don't accept him as mine at all, he wants to be the next Speaker. He's facing challengers, and he's facing a lot of pushback from many members. I think 36 was the number that voted against him for House Speaker. So he has majority, but not enough. And Matt Gaetz is a never McCarthyer. He's never, and has been out in front of microphones, tough, saying, no, you will never have my vote. And MTG is for Kevin McCarthy. So it's kind of this weird situation happening in the House. So we'll touch on that. We'll touch on Mitch McConnell trying to continue to be minority speaker or minority Senate leader, pardon me. But after the news, I want to get into Ticketmaster and how you guys feel about Ticketmaster, and then how they're trying to play off they're StubHub, they're SeatGeek. You know the truth, right? You know that all those StubHub and SeatGeek tickets for Ticketmaster tickets. So is this the time? Is the T-Swift fiasco enough for the DOJ to do something about what really does look like a monopoly with Ticketmaster and concert tickets as they teamed up with Live Nation? So we'll do that. But first, these headlines.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. Top Pentagon officials are calling Russia's targeting of Ukraine's electrical grid a war crime. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Mark Milley, saying Russia's latest attack on Ukraine's infrastructure included the launch of at least 60 missiles, and it could be as many as 100. He said it was the largest wave of missiles since the beginning of the war, and he estimated that more than a quarter of Ukrainians are without power. As Nikki was mentioning, former Vice President Mike Pence believes there will be better choices than Donald Trump come 2024. This comes after the former president announced he is running for the White House again. Pence is Trump's former running mate. He says people want policies advocated by the Trump-Pence administration, but they also want leadership which unites Americans. Kentucky Republican Mitch McConnell being reelected as the GOP leader in the Senate. McConnell defeated a challenge from Florida Senator Rick Scott after the party underperformed during the midterm elections. It was the most serious challenge the Kentucky Republican has faced for that position during his 15-year tenure. There's a new Senate report that says some social media platforms are promoting and incentivizing extreme content. That, according to the report, the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security are not doing enough to address the threat of domestic terrorism spreading on Facebook parent Meta, Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. Democrats on the Homeland Security Committee say those agencies haven't been tracking, reporting data on those incidents as federal law requires. Retail sales coming in better than expected. They rose by 1.3% last month after not changing at all in September. Higher gas prices contributing to a bigger sales number at service stations as well. And unfortunately, more job cuts are coming to the Bay Area. Amazon plans to lay off 10,000 workers. 263 of them are at the company's Sunnyvale location. In San Francisco, the software company Asana doing the same to 97 employees. This follows two local tech giants handing out pink slips. Facebook parent company Meta letting 11,000 people go after Twitter axed half of its staff. Even more are being fired now. New CEO Elon Musk telling the remaining staffers if they can't commit to long hours, they should go ahead and leave tomorrow. Another Bay Area lottery ticket coming up a winner. A very lucky person matched 5 numbers in last night's Mega Millions drawing. The ticket, worth just a little more than $2 million. It was sold at a Shell station in San Bruno at El Camino Real and Hensley Avenue. The store, of course, gets a cut of the money to keep. No one won the big prize for the Mega Millions, so that jumps up to $238 million for Friday. But congratulations to the fine people there in San Bruno who won.
I don't have the time. I have a Mega Millions ticket sitting in my purse. Every time I have a ticket that I haven't checked, I always feel like I'm going to be in the news as that one person that was carrying the ticket around forever and was a millionaire. So I'll have to check it at the next break.
You didn't cruise up to San Bruno to buy it, did you?
No, but it wasn't this. It was before. I think I didn't check it, but we'll see. It wasn't this last one. Maybe it was the one before. I could have won some money.
Tomorrow
the big
you could
one.
be a gazillionaire. And you will need, that's right, tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with all your gazillions, give Steve a call, 888-TAX-DEAL, or you can catch him online. It's
MoskowItzLLP.com. And that's just for you. What's his face? Andrew Peters does not like my jingle. Does not like my jingle at all. You've made it abundantly clear. You know.
That just means we have to sing it more.
Well, I was listening to Mark, and he's like, you know what? If you want me to kill, what was it, the Smash It?
Yeah.
Andrew, there's a way you could buy me to stop singing it today.
You can bribe Nikki to stop it. Yeah, that's right.
You want to make a donation to the super chat? I might consider it. Depends on how much you actually really hate me singing it. I don't know. Once or twice, perhaps.
What's it worth to you to park that? Yeah, what's it worth?
I need some Mega Millions tickets, Andrew. You can totally buy it off me. All right. So let's get into, speaking of paying for things, the Ticketmaster fiasco. It is aggravating, to say the least, when, and parents, you feel me, your kid's like, all I want for Christmas, especially this time of year, all I want for Christmas are these tickets. Now it could be Taylor Swift, it could be whatever, Harry Styles is my daughter. And so you're like, okay, let me see what I could do. Maybe you get a verified fan invite and you're like, yes, I'm in. Or maybe you have the credit card. I think it's Capital One that Taylor Swift partners with. And you're like, great, I can get in. And then all of a sudden, what happened yesterday happens, which is the site completely crashes. They have to push back the pre-sale or the verified fan date. They also had to push back the Capital one as well. And so it's becoming a bit ridiculous. So let's see. A second wave of pre-sales will kick off today at 2:00 local venue time. So if it's at Levi's, it's 2:00 this time. You get what I'm saying. Capital One credit and debit card users will be allowed to sign up for tickets through Ticketmaster. Now, Ticketmaster said, we did not anticipate the demand. Unprecedented.
Really?
Bull. You want to know? Well, one, the verified fan invitations, you know how many you sent out because you did it. You sent out the invitations. It's like saying you're having a birthday party and everyone that you invited showed up and you're like, I never anticipated so many people coming. Well, then why'd you send out so many damn invitations?
Right.
Right. And then that's causing everything else to be pushed back. So I'm wondering why they can't get it together. I don't understand.
Back to your party analogy. If you did invite 100 people to your party, you better have enough food and beverages to feed and, let 100 people have enough to drink. If you have too few available, then you're in trouble. If you have more than you need, then you're good to go. So don't invite 100 people and not have enough to service them.
Exactly. And so now we are back with this big call to get rid or to break up, I guess I should say, Ticketmaster. AOC was amongst those. That's a daily reminder. Ticketmaster is a monopoly. Its merger with Live Nation should never have been approved, and they need to be reined in. She got vilified for the reined, but reined in. Break them up. I agree. Ticketmaster has a monopoly. Somebody else, I loved this headline. I want to share this headline because any T Swift fans out there, you're instantly singing it. But it's like, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. That's the song that Taylor Swift is singing. I'm not Taylor Swift. But yeah, Ticketmaster is the problem. It is the only problem here. Now, there was one comment.
So what do you think they did with all the tickets? If they didn't sell them to the people that they were meant to go to, then what did they do with the tickets? Are they selling them to another agency who can mark them up even more? Or what's the allegation?
The allegation is that they're just mishandling it. I don't know. I mean, there's many. So Jay Stiller 7 chatted in. People buy the tickets on Ticketmaster and then later they resell. That's why it crashed. But this is at the beginning of it. So you can resell your tickets on Ticketmaster, right? They have their own system.
Sure.
So it's still doesn't make any sense to me, but whatever. Or you can take your tickets if you buy them and resell them on StubHub or SeatGeek. It's not as if SeatGeek has a partnership to get tickets that Ticketmaster doesn't have. That's the problem. Ticketmaster Live Nation has all of the tickets. They're the initial person or entity to sell these tickets. I'm pretty much correct. So Live Nation, this is what I found. There's a petition going around to break them up. It says Live Nation Ticketmaster owns more than 70% of the primary ticketing and live event venues market. They've routinely abused this market power to screw over concert goers, sports fans, artists, venues, and other ticket companies. So they're calling for the DOJ to investigate, break them up, because all that this is doing is increase ticket prices, junk fees, which President Biden is going to eliminate, right? He just came out a couple weeks ago announcing that.
Right.
Ticket prices that can change once they've been added to the customer's cart, limitations on how many tickets you can buy. Who in the chat room remembers actually having to go to a store and wait in a long line to buy tickets?
Ticket prices can change once you put them in your cart?
Well, all of a sudden, I mean, if you're trying to resell them, I would assume, right? This is the whole reselling market, right?
Right.
Or what happened to me, one of the last times I tried to buy tickets, I bought them and then I'm trying to get parking or whatever. And I saw this happened also on social media. And then you're trying to put all your payment in and then all of a sudden it's gone, or parking's no longer available and it sends you all the way back to the queue. This is the problem. It should be easier than this, especially if you own so much of the market. Karen, regarding the tickets, extra fees they charge so much, it's crazy. They pile on $100 extra on Lizzo's concert tickets, and that was the cheap, big quotes, $250 tickets, plus a $100 fee. I couldn't afford to go. It was so sad. Yeah, I mean, it sucks. It absolutely sucks. And I really, really, really want to know, why they can't seem to just do it in a way that seems fair. And for me, I don't know. Part of me is like, just go and stand out in front of Levi Stadium ticket booth, and then we'll have like the Black Friday type of thing before a concert. And if you're willing to sit your butt out in the cold for hours on end, then you get the tickets and it shows your passion, shows you really, really want it. I mean, I know that it's a pain in the ass, but I feel like at least it's fair. Yeah, see? Goodness, in my day, we camped out at Shoreline box office for popular tickets. Exactly. That's what we used to do. Seemed fair. I mean, if you could do it. Nowadays, with the advent of, the internet and reaching people, you can hire somebody to stand in line for you. I mean, that's doing it, but you have to stand in line. Somebody has to be there. Let's see. Jam Merc DJC. They also control the minimum sales price. So season ticket holders get stuck with tickets because it's not possible to reduce the price to true market value so you can get something for the ticket. Okay. I mean, and they say that's if you resell on Ticketmaster, they went on to chat in, which is almost forced due to rolling barcodes. I didn't realize the whole rolling barcodes. I guess that's to prevent scalping or duplication or something like that, which on one hand, I understand, but it does seem really, really unfair. So now, who remembers the mid-90s? I know, some of us are my age. Remember Pearl Jam? Pearl Jam actually went to Congress in the 90s bitching about Ticketmaster, the monopolistic practices of Ticketmaster. They were alleging the company was violating federal law by controlling ticket prices and blocking new entrants to the distribution business. What would you rather see? What is the solution here? I mean, do we break up Ticketmaster? Should we have not let the partnership with Live Nation? What is your trick or way to get tickets other than?
Did you have to pay to be a super fan?
No, you just had you just went on the website. You had it obviously you have to check your email, right? So you have to have an account with Ticketmaster.
I don't understand why they don't just sell the tickets. Why all this rigmarole with be a super fan and then do this and then jump through this hoop? Why not just sell the tickets, first come, first serve, end of story, that's it?
Well, bots. I think that's what they're going to tell you. They're going to say it's so that bots don't get in there quickly on the computer and snatch up all the seats before you even have a chance to do it as a person. So there's that. You have to have a specific code, which I guess the bots can't necessarily get, which I don't know if is true. Now, the Ticketmaster has been criticized for this for a long time. And the pressure has been building. Obviously, this is the newest one. So Live Nation and Ticketmaster, they've reported record shattering profits because of COVID, because everybody was itching to get back into concerts. So that could also be why they have no, drive to fix this problem, because the demand is so high. Live Nation dismisses any campaign against them. They say that the entertainment business has never been more vibrant and competitive. Who's their competitor? I don't get it. They say many companies continue to enter the market and it's growing. They say we're proud of the many progressive policies we've innovated and advocated for, from an all-in pricing, transparent resale disclosures, refunds, and more. I think it's BS. I think that, they need to go back to selling tickets different ways. And then you hear from the artists, right? And the artists don't like it. They don't want to hear from, the fans that they really do want in the front seat not being able to afford the tickets. Because why? Because only rich people can afford them. Not saying rich people can, enjoy themselves and aren't huge fans of musicians, artists, and sports teams, but that's not the only people you want in the front row. This was Nat Mitt Design. I used to buy my tickets at Tower Records. Exactly. And do you think that was fair? I mean, does anybody remember buying tickets that way and thinking, if only I could do this remotely from my home and compete with robots and bots? Let's see. Calvin. Wait, there needs to be methods to prevent hoarding tickets from individuals and corporations. Greed isn't good. Real music fans will suffer. Yeah. Although being in the radio business, it was pretty nice. Kim, you would know. I mean, not us, because it would come usually from the music stations if we won music tickets. But radio stations partner with Live Nation and Ticketmaster, and they get tickets to give away as giveaways. So I've been listening all morning as everyone's been bitching about Taylor Swift and not being able to get tickets on Ticketmaster to radio stations just giving them away, doing little contests or whatever, and they win their tickets. I still like that aspect of it. It's not all of the tickets, and I don't believe they're giving away like front row tickets to the concert or pit tickets or anything like that.
I just wonder if it's worth all the trouble,
Yes.
You think it is? I love this story, though. Kathleen Chan waited in line for 2 hours to get Streisand tickets, and the last ones went to the two people in front of us.
No.
That's such a
they should give warnings. I feel like they should give warnings, right? Like
we're coming to the end of our supply.
Right. We only have so many. But I mean, unless they limit how many tickets you can get, that's also kind of giving it away to the people in front of you. I hope that Eric Kennedy, you're not right. Yeah, with prices like they are, the days of concerts are over.
Yeah, he's right to me. My daughter really wanted to go see Olivia Rodrigo in San Francisco.
I remember you telling me that. How much were tickets?
It was like $500 a ticket, or it was some asinine amount that I'm not paying $1,000 to go see a concert. I have a hard time, paying over $100 a ticket to go see a concert. Not that I don't appreciate music, but I'd rather just listen to the song rather than be packed into a crowd trying to see a little tiny ant-sized person on stage, and instead looking up to the big music monitors when I know everyone's going to post it after the show. I just, not for me.
It's the experience of being there. You know what else I miss? And I know, let's just all be old for a second. I miss ticket stubs. That bothers me that we no longer have. Like, who had a book? I used to have a book of like ticket stubs and all the tickets and the wristbands if I had a wristband to a concert or a festival. I miss those days. Everything's electronics. What am I going to do? Print out my thing with my barcode on it? That's lame. It was a collector's thing to have, the tickets to some of these shows. And sometimes I just feel like, progress has brought terrible things sometimes. Oh, Liz Reeves, just now having flashbacks of being that parent, sitting on the cold ground at 3:00 in the morning in front of Tower Warehouse Records to get tickets for my daughter to see New Kids on the Block. Absolutely. Yeah. And, those were the days. And we probably, not that we wanted to sit on the cold ground, but at least that you were there with people that really wanted to go to the concert. And yes, some of them may have bought the tickets and then scalped them to somebody else, right? Or sold them to somebody else. But they had to put the work in for it. Not just be like clickety clack on the computer quicker than anybody else. Yes, I brought this up, Karen D. Pearl Jam brought this up over 20 years ago. Yeah, they went to Congress. Exactly. Hold on. I'm going to bring you up the article. This was the LA Times article that I was referencing, by the way. And yeah, I mean, if we can go all the way back to the 90s of people complaining about something like this, what does that tell you? That the Ticketmaster has been running away with this for decades, and no one's done anything about it. And I don't see the solution. And maybe that's because I wanted to show you the picture of the band members. It doesn't show up. But yeah, it's been going on for so long, and it's disappointing that nothing's been done. Let's see. That's an interesting point. Wallace Buffington. I love your name, by the way. If you are local, the venue's box office should still be an option. unless box offices are locked out from selling for some of these big events. Does anyone know the answer? Like, I don't think it's possible, right? I don't think
even box offices. You walk up to a box office and they'll charge you a service fee there, even if you're doing it in person. You can't get away from extra fees and charges and whatnot. But at some points, at some venues, you can do that.
Yeah. I mean, again, and you have to have a lot of money. Who was it, Kelvin? $500 was the cheap seats. Yeah. Lizzo, when I hear people actually went to the concert, I'm like, wow, that's awesome. But geez, how much did you pay for those tickets? Because I would love to see Lizzo. There's a ton of people that I would love to see. And Kim, I'm going to go against you on this. Being there, seeing the performance in the show. Yes, maybe you're so far away that they're just a tiny little person, but you know, the pyrotechnics or what is up on the screen or just the whole entire performance can be awesome. I'd love to see Lady Gaga. I feel like she'd put on an amazing concert.
The only way to see those shows is if you work in radio and someone gives you either VIP tickets so you get up front, or you got a backstage pass, and you kind of don't have to deal with packs and throngs of people, and you get to actually enjoy the show. I feel like if you're anywhere in the general audience, it's not a good experience. I just don't want to pay hundreds of dollars for that experience.
Well, Taylor Swift's tour originally had 27 dates. It jumped to 35 dates. Kim, can you tell me how many shows has the tour now grown to?
I'm going to say 75.
Not that much. 52. She's
Okay.
now doing 50. She's, almost doubled the number of shows that she's going to do. And then I'm wondering, was that always the plan? I mean, you can't almost double your tour and not think that that was always part of the plan. So is that also kind of messing with people? This kind of idea of scarcity, like I have to get tickets to a date maybe not of my first choosing. And then all of a sudden they open a Saturday show and a Sunday show or a Monday show. And all of a sudden you're like, well, I would have preferred to go on that day. It's so awful. It just really is. It sucks. Kim, just buy your kids the CD, shirt, and posters. Get your money's worth. There you go.
That's right. You know what was worth it, I would say, when I took my daughter, who's very into musical theater, I took her to see Hamilton. That was worth it. The tickets were expensive because Hamilton, right?
Right.
But it was, you had a seat, you could sit down, everyone could hear it, everyone could enjoy it. It just felt, it's a different, I don't know. I guess it's all about what's important to you, what you'll spend your money on. But it seems like being packed in, standing, against people who are trying to dance and everyone moving, I don't know, just doesn't seem like a similar experience. It seems like just being jammed into a they call a cattle call, right?
Yeah. I mean, I honestly, I can't remember a concert. Well, there were some concerts where the sound quality I wasn't particularly pleased about. That's usually what disappoints me the most, if the sound is off. And sometimes that can be where you're sitting, and that's why the sound. But I think that if you pay good money, you should have great sound no matter where you sit. But there's not many concerts that I'm paying good money to see that I'm going to walk away disappointed. No. Did I need to spend that much money? Of course not. But NSTAR says Live Nation holds exclusive rights to the largest venues in the U.S. They will only sell tickets to Ticketmaster. They have a partnership, right? And performers and artists are not allowed to use alternative ticket sellers. Wow. Yeah, I just think that something needs to be done. It really, really needs to be fixed, because it's disappointing a lot of people and disillusioning them to ever wanting to go visit these venues and appreciate the musicians and the artists and the football and sports teams that they want to go see. Now, speaking of, seeing sports teams, apparently a lot of sports teams are doing the same thing. They are fleeing FTX. Now, we had spoken about this earlier. FTX is, a crypto company, and they filed for bankruptcy. And so a lot of Bay Area sports teams that may have been teaming up, with naming rights deals, uniform patches, blah, blah, blah. They're like, maybe not such a great idea of being partnered with something that's going down, but you know it's bad. You know it's bad when good old Tom Brady,
what happened to him? What'd you do?
So his Twitter profile used to be this, Kim. So when you see a picture like this with laser eyes, that means that they're big into Bitcoin.
Oh.
That's the laser eye. So you'll see a lot of people post this as their Twitter profile because they're all in.
Sure.
Well, good old Tom reading the writing on the wall. Maybe he's listening to my show. This is his new profile picture now. I don't think it's any better. Looks a little cross-eyed. What is it, like a clay statue? I don't know what it's from. If anybody knows what this is from, this is his new
stiff there, Tom. A little stiff.
Yeah. It looks okay. Quite chiseled, as they say. But yeah, apparently he is joining in on the fleeing of crypto companies or what have you, because he was all in for FTX. And after their bankruptcy, not quite sure how much money he really of his own had in it, or if it was just kind of celebrity endorsement. But still, it says a lot. I love that. Eric Kennedy. He's stoned. Literally. Apparently, it looks like he is stoned. All right. We are going to have some news in just a few minutes. But while we're thinking about it, please do what you do. And that is to hit that thumbs up button right underneath this video. You can click the like or the thumbs up or the heart on Facebook as well. I don't know what it does to the algorithm on Facebook, but on the YouTube show, it helps spread it and makes our show pop up in all these different kinds of places. And so if you could do it, it's free. All you have to do is just click it just once and it helps support our show. You could also go to our Patreon and become a monthly subscriber, as so many of you have. We love the support. And all that support will help us grow the show and do all sorts of things that we want to do. So if you'd like to become a monthly Patreon subscriber and help support the show, just go to NikkiMedoroShow.com, and the links to the Patreon is there, as well as the YouTube shows that you can share with your family and your friends. So that's awesome. And let's see, we have the super chat. The super chat is live. You can get your comments read. You can do all of that. Let's give a shout out right now as we head toward news. Beth Farmer, a $1.99 super sticker, but then she's like, wait, what? No. I need to give $19.99. Sorry for the $2 cheapskate move. Not at all. We will take all dollars on the Nikki Medoro Show. We appreciate all the daily love from all of our listeners. Let's see. Pamela Kirby, $4.99 super sticker. I absolutely love it. And I'm going to add this one comment in from Kathleen Chan, responding to Mr. Andrew, who did not like my Moskowitz jingle. Now, let me just preface this by saying, I'm not a singer, and it's a jingle, which is supposed to be catchy, not necessarily, operatic or whatever. But Kathleen Chan has the best piece of advice for Andrew. Sing it more, Nikki. Shows your passion. Minimum donation, $100 to stop per half hour. So let's see how much you really, really hated Andrew. Or did you just want to be mean in the chat room? All right, let's do some news. And then when we come back, we're going to get into the fight over House Speaker. So Kevin McCarthy, he received most of the votes, but not enough. And the coalition against him seems to be growing. And I don't know what that means. And as we do news, brainstorm, think to yourself, who would I want to be House Speaker? Because it matters. They have a lot of power. And it could be Kevin McCarthy. But if one politician has his way and many others, it'll never happen. So we'll talk about that. We'll also have what were they thinking? Some stories where I'm like, I don't know what that person was thinking right there. But first, here is Kim with the news.
Now, from around the world to up your street, the Nikki Medoro Show presents News Czar Kim McAllister.
And this report sponsored by tax attorney Moskowitz, 88 tax deal. Let's start with a story that I just saw the headline for. California will likely have a $25 billion budget deficit next year. It might confuse a lot of people who thought, wait a minute, I thought we had extra revenue. Now we got a deficit? Yeah, $25 billion deficit possible next year. That would end the surpluses, and it would also serve as a warning to other states about recession might be coming. And it also could lead to some painful spending decisions. We'll see how how it all goes and whether or not we really have that $25 billion deficit next year. Ivanka Trump is not planning on being involved in her father's latest run for the White House. She released a statement saying she will be prioritizing her family life rather than getting involved in politics. Her husband, Jared Kushner, was present when former President Trump announced his 2024 bid for the Republican nomination last night. World leaders are now calling on Russia to withdraw from Ukraine. A group meeting a G20 summit in Indonesia this week adopted a declaration that deplores the Russian invasion. It also says the threat or use of nuclear weapons in Ukraine is inadmissible. Democrats are focusing on immigration laws before the end of the year. Texas Democratic Congressman Joaquin Castro says the party is prioritizing the DACA program, which protects migrants brought across the border as children. A companion bill is sitting in the Senate for more than a year without any action. The mayor of New York City now asking the state and the federal government for more than $500 million due to the migrant crisis. Eric Adams is calling on President Biden and Governor Kathy Hochul to reimburse the city. This comes after the city of New York shelled out about $600 million to house migrants who have mostly flooded in from the southern border. There's 2 teenagers facing charges after allegedly mugging Ariana Grande's brother. Police say the 2 suspects, aged 13 and 17, robbed Frankie Grande in New York City last week, hit him from behind, stole his Louis Vuitton bag, his iPhone, his AirPods, sunglasses, and wallet. Apparently both were caught while trying to use his credit card at a smoke shop. The opioid crisis, of course, continues to be a major problem across America, but now there's a group of researchers hoping a vaccine could be the answer. Dr. Kim Janda says his team at Scripps Research is working on a vaccine that could help counteract the effects of the drug on the brain. One of the vaccines in development would be taken as a series of shots. The other would be a one-time shot for those who overdose. The San Diego County Prescription Drug Abuse Task Force and Meth Strike Force recently released a report showing 2021 was the deadliest year for drug overdose deaths in that city. And nearly 48,000 researchers and student employees at all 10 University of California campuses are going on day 3 of their strike today. It's an effort to secure improved pay, better working conditions, and it is the largest walkout in the history of the U.S. education with no end in sight. UC officials say they've been in contract negotiations for months with the United Auto Workers. That's the union that represents postdoctoral scholars, academic researchers, student employees, grad student researchers. They're seeking a minimum annual base salary of $54,000. UC offering a salary scale increase of just 5% in the first year and 3% after. The unions say that's just not enough. And HBO will air Howard Stern's interview with Bruce Springsteen in its entirety later this month. The interview originally aired on Sirius XM on Halloween, along with more than 2 hours of conversation. The special includes an in-studio acoustic performance by the boss. It is to air on HBO November 27th and available for streaming on HBO Max. And this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. 30 years put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your taxes, go call Steve, 888-TAX-DEAL, or online, MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister on The Nikki Medoro Show.
It is hour 2 of the Nikki Medoro Show, live noon to 2 on YouTube. But thanks for everybody that has been clicking that thumbs up, smashing it, pressing the button, whatever you want to do. You could use whatever body part you want. Just make sure the thumbs
I like the elbow, that bam.
Elbow. Bam! Just smash it. Do whatever you have to. And again, the super chat is live. We'll give more shout outs if you want your comment read by me. If you have a specific thing you want to say, if you want to highlight it, give a shout out, you can do that and throw a couple bucks our way. And we really do appreciate it. And one more time from the top, the NikkiMedoroShow.com is where you can find links to share this show with your family and your friends. And of course, become a monthly Patreon subscriber. Our monthly Patreon subscribers are the ones who keep this show going, and we appreciate it so much. And I'm I'm sending emails and replies to all of you. I'm also going to start asking for ideas of either events or something you want to happen, maybe some segment on the show that you think maybe I did at Station X that I haven't brought to this show. I feel like I've brought most of them, but if there's something you want to talk about, that this is our show, this is our community, and you can always find a way to reach me there. And of course, my email is theNikkiMedoroShow@gmail.com. It's very, very simple to remember. And of course, our sponsor, Steve Moskowitz, AAA Tax Deal, or let's sing it together, people.
MOSKOWITZ-LLP.com.
There you go. It's not beautiful, but it works. Okay, so let's get into the debate over House Speaker. So they were on House Republicans yesterday, I believe. Yeah, yesterday, nominated Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, current Minority Leader, to be Speaker of the House. Okay, so he won 188 to 31, but that means 31 people, Republicans, did not want him as House Speaker. And so what does that tell us? That tells us that there's an in for Democrats, that there's an ability for them not to get everything or overturn everything that they don't want to. So the 31 votes opposing McCarthy easily meets the threshold to get things passed. So what is McCarthy going to do? Well, let's first hear from some of his critics, and the loudest one, the guy that's been making the round, and I don't particularly like to hear from him, but hell, I don't like to hear from Kevin McCarthy either. And this, of course, is none other than Matt Gaetz. So Matt Gaetz was talking about the fact that Kevin McCarthy just doesn't have the votes.
I think you'll see a critical mass say that we want to turn the page. We want new leadership. We want fresh faces and new ideas. And what I can tell you as I stand here right now is that Kevin McCarthy does not have 218 votes to become Speaker. I don't think he has 200.
Wow. I don't think he has 200. So you tell me in the live chat, or Kim. I have no guesses because if it's a Republican, who do you want to be? It's not going to be Kinzinger or anybody like that, right? So who do you want it to be? Who do you think would be a moderate enough? Now, there was Congressman Andy Biggs from Arizona. He was a former chairman of the conservative House Freedom Caucus, and he was the one that kind of put himself out there saying, no, we don't want Kevin McCarthy to be our next House Speaker. Here's more from good old Gaetz on who it should be.
The sooner we can sort of dispense with the notion that Kevin's going to be Speaker, then we can get to the important work of actually looking at who are the people that Brian Fitzpatrick and Matt Gaetz can agree on.
And I like that he brought that part up because it's, different types of Republicans. But are you surprised that Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene aren't on the same side? Because Taylor Greene wants McCarthy.
Yeah.
I wonder what he said to her. You know what I mean? Like, what did he say to Marjorie Taylor Greene, the idiot in blonde hair, to convince her to throw her support behind him? Because it makes me think something. And so, of course, Matt Gaetz had to throw in a zinger for MTG, which I enjoyed.
So I think there were strategic decisions that were wrong. I think those strategic decisions illuminate a lack of trust. And whatever Kevin has promised Marjorie Taylor Greene, I guarantee you this. At the first opportunity, he will zap her faster than you could say Jewish space laser. And I wish that wasn't the case, but it is the conduct and it is the pattern and practice of Kevin McCarthy over years that showcase this.
And so that's going to be an interesting thing to watch. Now, we were talking with Emily Hoven the other day from Cal Matters, and she did bring up an interesting point of, Kevin brings kind of a California perspective, even if he is not, a California Democrat, liberal, progressive, whatever. He's a Kevin McCarthyer through and through. But, dealing with climate change and kind of that kind of lens, perhaps could be a good thing for California. I just don't like the guy. I think that he puts himself even before party, if you would believe that, before country. And then did you hear what they tried to do, allegedly, I guess, according to sources? at ABC in a sign of the challenges Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy faces to secure enough votes to possibly become the next Speaker of the House. His allies have tried to persuade one moderate Democrat to switch parties.
Which
Apparently,
one?
Democratic Texas Congressman Henry Cuellar, I hope I'm pronouncing it right, apparently Cuellar received multiple calls from people close to Kevin McCarthy, including a current Republican member. And apparently he actually told ABC News, they said, name your price to switch parties, to come over to their side.
Wow.
And he said, no, thank you.
That has to be illegal, doesn't it?
Well, I think they're trying to look for a vote. You know what I'm saying? I think that they're looking for a vote. I don't think that he could, because if
You can't pay someone to do that. I mean, that's just,
right.
that smacks
Well,
of that has to be, something has to be wrong with that.
I don't think they meant literal money. I think maybe
Oh,
like
you meant
committees or,
right.
you know what I'm saying? Like, what do you
Okay.
need? Like, what do you need from us? I mean,
Right.
I'm assuming maybe it is straight up money, and that doesn't sound legal to myself as well. But he
Mm-mm.
said, I mean, this is what he said. He said, I mean, they see me as a moderate Democrat, so they think he's probably someone that will consider it. And, you know, McCarthy's office said, as a standard rule, we do not discuss private conversations between members of Congress. However, Congressman Cuellar is a lifelong Democrat and will remain a Democrat, period. And then speaking about Republicans' efforts to get Cuellar to switch parties, Democratic Caucus Chair Hakeem Jeffries blasted Republicans for their nerve. He says they literally just spent millions of dollars mischaracterizing Henry Cuellar's leadership, then get wiped out by Cuellar and Vicente Gonzalez and want to run them, saying, we need your help. Yeah, you just don't have the votes. And I don't know how Kevin McCarthy is going to get anything done if he doesn't get GOP to fall in line.
I love what Eric writes. Whatever they offer plus his soul.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, Tony in San Antonio. Cuellar is not a Democrat. Texas does not consider him one, just votes for him to keep a Republican out. Okay. So Tony, I love that we have our San Antonio person here. Now I get it. I mean, is it kind of like a California Republican? Is it kind of like he's in Texas, but he's not fully Dem, like California Dem? Or is he, because if it's between him and a Republican, obviously you guys are choosing him. And, you know, I go off all the time about working across the aisle and compromise and getting things done. I don't mind moderates. I just don't like hypocrites. And that's what I consider Kevin McCarthy, definitely a hypocrite. Is there anything punishable anymore in Congress? Not if Trump gets off. Not if all of his minions don't get off. I mean, it boggles my mind. Now, I know we've covered this, but on the Senate side, Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky will return as minority leader after defeating Senator Rick Scott of Florida. But it did expose a divide over strategy among the chamber's Republicans that will likely complicate their efforts to counter the Democratic majority over the next 2 years. Oh, they were hoping so badly to get control of the Senate. Apparently, though, Republicans were upset with Rick Scott over how he handled the campaign arm of the Senate Republican, the money there. And so his challenge was simply symbolic. But yeah, we're not getting rid of Sad Turtle Guy. And we'll see what happens with Kevin McCarthy, because
Sad Turtle Guy?
That's Mitch McConnell. That's what we call him. So let's see. We have one seat. So one seat for the House is up for grabs. They're at 217, and the Democrats have 209. They're going to get it. I mean, I don't foresee us keeping the House, of course. I mean, there's a possibility, but I highly doubt that's going to happen. But good. At least we know they don't have the votes if Kevin McCarthy is House Speaker. They don't have the votes, at least at this point, to kind of fall in line. Because remember, you might remember Nancy Pelosi was getting kind of challenged by AOC and Squad, remember, to take over as House Speaker again.
Yeah, I do.
She worked her Pelosi power, and she got them to fall in line. I think she made promises, and I think that's what the price is.
Yeah.
It's just like, look at committees. I will support whatever maybe agenda items you may have, but I need to be House Speaker, and that's just what needs to be done. Sad turtle guy. Yeah, exactly. I love it. I'm not the first one. I didn't make that up. I'll take credit for it, but believe me. Okay, that's enough politics for today, shall we? Uh, let's talk a little bit of holiday shopping, though. I apologize, Kim. I was moving some stuff around, so I don't know if you did this in your news. But San Francisco Union Square opening up. There's a tree out, everything like that. Ice skating's happening. The community ambassadors are out. Who thinks it's going to be a better holiday season in San Francisco this year?
With community ambassadors, they're upping patrols. They're upping police everywhere because of retail theft, especially on a large scale, the retail theft. So maybe people will feel a little more safe as they do their Christmas shopping, or holiday shopping, I should say. I still think most people do it online, don't you?
Oh, well, I hope that they support local businesses.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, I think it's just easier to shop online. But, just going downtown for the holiday season, do you think it'll be better with these community ambassadors and maybe hopefully a change in opinion about the city? Because I'm just wondering, are we going to see what we saw in the morning last Christmas? Roads were blocked off. You could not even drive down certain streets in the overnight hours because they were so afraid of crime and police were out there. I don't think that gives you the message you want while you're, thinking Santa Claus and Christmas presents and hot cocoa or something like that. Yeah. I don't think that at all. Speaking of buying things, apparently, according to Bloomberg, the wrong Americans are buying electric cars. So this is what they're saying.
Californians or Americans?
They're saying Americans in general. So this was a survey of EV drivers. 14% of people who responded said they own more than one battery-powered vehicle. And 6%, which doesn't seem a lot, but had 3 or more electric vehicles. So every car that they had basically was an electric car. 26% of EV buyers in the second quarter either traded their used electric car for a new one or just added another one to their garage. 9% of recent EV buyers were already driving a hybrid. I might fall into that because I'm looking to buy something like that. And so what they're saying is this is not what we want to see. We want to get more gas-powered cars off the road.
I wonder about that survey, though. Who was it done by?
Well, this was done by Bloomberg.
Oh, the survey was done by Bloomberg.
Yeah.
I thought it was done by EV Magazine or something. I just wonder if there's
samples. The survey number I gave you was from a recent Bloomberg survey of EV drivers.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's more than I thought.
Yeah, exactly. And so they're saying that a large share of battery-powered cars are being bought by households that already have them, but these double dippers are not kind of benefiting the climate like we would want. Like, it's all great, but you're not driving a gas-powered car, so you've done your part, EV driver. I want gas-powered guy or gal to stop and buy their next car as an EV driver. But I think that there's something to be said for seeing more of them on the road. So if, time you see her, it's kind of a free commercial for electric vehicles. So that could possibly help.
My sister bought a Tesla and she had the whole Tesla Powerwall installed in her house and solar and everything else. And they got this Tesla and they started plugging it in and they weren't paying for gas, right? So they had one Tesla and one gas powered, or it was like a hybrid. I think it was a hybrid Highlander. And they realized, this whole don't pay for gas thing is great. And so they sold their Highlander and got a second Tesla.
Okay.
So in their case, I would say it does, even if you already have one and then buy a second, it does often, if the second person in your house was driving a gas-powered vehicle, take another gas-powered car off the street.
Right. But I think that they want everyone to be able to buy it. And I see that comment from Calvin or Joe, make the EV cars cheaper. That is a huge deterrent. At the moment, most people can't afford even one new electric vehicle. I know over at Station X, we did a whole kind of search and you could get, an electric vehicle, even a used Tesla, for a reasonable amount but it's usually the same cost as a brand new car. And I think that some people would just rather have the brand new car. So the average sticker price for an EV in October, the average was almost $59,000. I would never spend $59,000 on a car.
Have you looked at the price of a new car that's a regular gas powered car?
Well, I mean, you can get really cheap gas powered cars. You can buy probably a gas powered car. No, I would say, what is it? Let's see. Let me see. What is the cheapest?
Like if you're trying to buy, say a Toyota, well, let's just say Highlander.
A 22.
You're going to pay $40,000 or $50,000 for it.
Yeah, but the cheapest new cars with automatic transmissions, but according to cars.com, the 2022 Chevrolet Spark, $15,695. Mitsubishi Mirage, $17,000. A Kia Rio LX, $17,000.
Those aren't tiny little cars, though.
Well, I mean, you weren't giving me your specifications, Kim.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
You're just asking for cheap cars. Now, I mean, if you're getting all picky, if you want like a gigantic SUV, then yes, it's going to be more expensive.
It's going to be more expensive.
But if you're trying to get from A to B,
I'm just saying comparatively, it used to be that when you thought Tesla, you thought unaffordable. That's an $80,000 car. There's no way. Well, now when you look at the price of, what used to be regular, like a $30,000, mid-sized SUV, now those are in the $45,000, $50,000 range, even more for higher end. So now I would say many cars cost that much. So you're not looking at, it's not just the electric vehicles, it's a price of a lot of other vehicles as well. Unless you want, what did you say? A Chevy Flint or not going to buy that.
A Chevrolet Spark. I don't
Spark. I don't even know what that is.
Okay, so you're judging, Miss Judger, on a car that you don't even know what it looks like. Hold on. I want to bring up a picture.
I don't think I've ever seen one on the road.
Okay.
Was it like a roller skate? Yeah.
I'm telling you though, if you need to drive somewhere, there it is. That's the car.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, it's not a big car, but it's something. And if you only have to pay what, $16,000 for it, great starter car. Although I wouldn't put
this is the problem with the American mindset, because I look at that car and I think to myself, that's something that could for the narrow areas of Europe, right? That's a European looking car.
Oh, I see.
But I think I need to change my mindset, because I'm thinking of all the stuff I have to haul around. I've got 2 kids. I've got, baseball backpacks and sports equipment and whatever else. And, putting more kids in the car for field trips and things. And so I look at that car and I think there's 0% chance of me ever buying it if I needed a new car. But maybe that's the problem with us, is that we need to go smaller.
Yeah, so it doesn't necessarily mean bigger is better or anything like that. So, but I get it.
In most cases.
In most cases. I mean, I would not want to drive too tiny of a car when I'm driving on the freeway next to big rigs and giant trucks and things like that, right? I mean, I don't understand people that drive those smart cars on the freeway. I go, I understand it's a smart car, but it's really tiny, and I wouldn't want to be underneath a big rig in that. So, but yeah, if you're still driving gas guzzlers, maybe consider an EV. But a lot of good comments in the chat room. More charging stations. Americans want huge houses, huge cars. That's true. That's all very true. All right, we do have time for this before Kim's news. Now, I don't know if you saw this. This story kind of put a lump in my throat, especially when I heard the dad talk. I heard the dad talking, and he was saying, every time I watch this video, it makes me cry. And now I'm not going to play you the whole entire thing. I'm just going to tell you the story. But this happened in Pennsylvania. There was a 10-year-old boy, and he's walking home from school. And all of a sudden, this woman starts following him. Okay. And he didn't know her, but she kept insisting that she knew the kid's family, and he was supposed to come with her. The boy's father said, she said she probably knew me, the dad, and was going to Wawa, which is a store, and that he was supposed to go with her and he could get anything he wanted. And so surveillance camera on this store that's near the kid's home caught this interaction, like this woman walking with this kid. The kid goes into the store, goes to the cashier, and whispers, "Act like my mom. This lady is following me."
Yeah.
And so the cashier puts herself between the kid and the woman, who apparently was still hanging around, and the woman finally took off. That is very smart thinking. it surprised me, although they found the woman and apparently she has mental health issues or what have you. It did surprise me a little bit, although I know women kidnap kids and things like that, but how brazen this woman was with all of it, but very smart thinking of that kid.
Totally
right?
smart. And you know what else I heard about this story is the store owner came out and said, great job for that little kid to come in here and feel safe and do that, but also praised her clerk, who it turns out was a 17-year-old girl who was quick on the uptake enough to put the kid behind her, go and lock the store door, right? And deal with it appropriately. 17 years old. I'm proud of her handling it right.
Oh, absolutely. I've told my kids, I go, and I don't want to be sexist here, but this is literally what I tell my kids all the time. I go, if you're lost, go find another mom. Just find a mom. A mom will instantly. It doesn't matter how busy I am. If a kid comes up to me and says, somebody's following me, act like my mom, you are one of my children. I have birthed you. You know what I mean? Like, it does not matter. And so it's scary. But the reason I also brought up this amazing story of the smart thinking of this kid is there's a ton of stories where I was asking myself, what the hell were they thinking? Totally opposite end of the spectrum. Did you hear what happened on Jeopardy? Did you see this?
I don't know.
Okay, good. Okay. So, they had to come up with clues. All right. Now, they're getting criticized because this was the clue. In 2021, fugitive Brian Laundrie ended his days in Florida's Mahahatchee Creek area, home to these long and toothy critters.
What?
And
what kind of question is that? Why would you bring up a murder case when you're talking about an animal story? I mean,
do you know the answer, by the way?
Well, crocodiles, because it's Florida, right?
Alligators. It's alligators.
Whatever.
Yeah. They're different, but yes. But yeah.
I would have lost the question on Jeopardy, but yes.
Yeah, so they're like, this one person's like, I was mortified to be watching Jeopardy, and they asked a casual question about alligators referencing Brian Laundrie. Oh, Jeopardy, what incredibly poor taste. And then another one's like, y'all couldn't have gotten to alligator any other way.
Right.
There was no other connection to an alligator except Brian Laundrie.
You had to remind us of a notorious murder case. Oh, people will pay attention if we talk about that, right?
Yeah.
So let's mention that. And then what could we ask about that place? What lives there? Oh, yeah. Don't they have alligator crocodiles there? What the?
Yeah, no.
Who? No. Mm-mm.
No.
That was a
And then
fail.
one person's like, so unnecessarily morbid. Could have said anything related to Florida and gotten there. And another person wrote that Brian Laundrie prompt was disgusting and insensitive. There really wasn't a better prompt for the word alligator. Exactly. I have no idea.
Don't they have someone double checking these questions? That should have been polled. Someone else, the proofreader should have caught that and said, what are you even thinking? I wonder if there was a meeting at the writer's table around that. We need to get more provocative questions,
right?
More attention-grabbing leads. No.
Yeah, no.
Ask the damn question. Trivia is the point.
And then there's this woman who I don't know what was thinking. She called 911. Okay. Now I love I can't believe you called 911 stories. So the woman was eating at a restaurant in Raleigh, North Carolina. And she decided to call 911 because when she got her plate of their famous barbecue, she got pork shoulder. It was pink. And she says that she told the dispatcher, I ordered.
Oh, it looks like we lost Nikki for just a little bit. And I don't know what the story was, but I can't wait to find out what she has to say about pink pork. I don't even know. Natalie Alejandro does text in about the last story, though, that Florida has both alligators and crocodiles. So it's not even a good location to use to get alligators. So yeah, I'm outraged over that last question as well. I want to tell you guys that while we wait for Nikki to come on back into the show, which I know she's probably seriously trying to do, that I was just writing a story to do in the news, but I'll do it a little early since it's 1:30. It's we've been following this race for the mayor of San Jose, and there's big news just in the last hour. ABC7 is saying that Cindy Chavez, who many thought would easily and handily win the mayor's race in San Jose, has called Matt Mahan to concede. So San Jose City Councilman Matt Mahan looks like he's run away with this one. Mahan only 51.32 to Chavez's 48.68. That was the lead after a week of ballot counting. Chavez, though, conceding. She's released a statement today. She wants to thank everyone who worked on, supported her campaign, says she's proud of her campaign, as she was able to share her vision with her communities. And she's not out of politics yet in San Jose. She's still got 2 years as a Santa Clara County supervisor. And so she says she's going to work to improve public safety, affordable housing, all the things that she has been doing. So it looks like if she's conceding that that Matt Mahan will be the new mayor of San Jose. Of course, he is a city councilman and now mayor of San Jose. So unexpected in that turn of events. And again, we'll keep following that. And I want to see how the vote turns out in the end and what those numbers are. It is 1:31 and we are 1 minute late for news. So let's get right to it. And I don't have my special whiz bang. Oh, maybe I can play it. I don't know if I can play it or not. Let's see if I can't make it happen. I hope I can make it happen. Is there a news song? Nah. All right. Maybe I won't try it. Probably not. All right, let's get right to the news. Sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz at 888 Tax Deal. So prosecutors say the suspect accused of killing 3 football players at the University of Virginia this week shot one of those victims while the man was sleeping aboard a bus. That revelation made during today's court hearing in Charlottesville. Christopher Darnell Jones Jr. allegedly committed the act as that bus returned from a field trip. Authorities in Los Angeles are investigating what caused the accident that injured several sheriff's recruits. This happened this morning. LA County Sheriff Alex Villanueva said the cause and the motive are currently unknown. The driver taken into custody at the scene of the crash this morning in Whittier in Southern California. So there's a bus full of migrants expected to arrive in Philadelphia today. The city officials had been expecting this for the last several days, and Texas Governor Greg Abbott said about 30 people were on the bus when it left his state on Tuesday. There's a major roadway in the city of Concord closed after a gas line erupted into flames this morning. Concord police saying Grant Street is closed at Frederick Street, set to remain closed for several hours. Right now it is 1:30, so at least 3:30. We'll see how that works out. PG&E crews still working to cap the gas line. They did contain this area to a large piece of construction. No structure. That, of course, in the city of Concord. And Nikki, now that you're back, I wanted to tell you I was saving this story for you.
Thank you.
And I already mentioned it, but Cindy Chavez has conceded the mayor's race to Matt Mahan in San Jose.
She did.
Yeah, and so
that's a bummer.
The counting still really isn't done. The end tally that we have right now, as votes are still counted, was Mahan with 51.32% to Chavez's 48.68%. She's still got 2 years as a Santa Clara County supervisor, but an unexpected win for Matt Mahan. And I never get this name right. R&B star SZA? SZA?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Yes.
Okay, I always mess it up and I sound so unhip doing so. But SZA is announcing the name for her next album. SOS is set to release sometime next month. It is the second album to be released by the singer, whose debut project Control was a very big success. So Control, now SOS from SZA. And this report sponsored by tax attorney Steve Moskowitz. For more than 30 years, Steve has put his tax knowledge to work for individuals and businesses alike. If you need help with your tax, give Steve a call. It's 888 Tax Deal or MoskowitzLLP.com. I'm Kim McAllister, and we are back to the Nikki Medoro Show.
Yes, thank you. You know what sucks most about being kicked off is I'm always on a different page. I'm not constantly watching myself. And so I didn't know until I go back and I was all, but I did see in the comments that people were commenting about the pork, which was my whole point of the whole damn thing. Natalie says it. If you get pork, at a barbecue joint and it's not pink, then go home. They're doing it wrong. Thank you. That was my whole point.
I didn't have the story too, so I had to just go on with the news. So that's all right.
No, and I figured as much. I mean, I had quite timing. I had to restart everything. I apologize, people. You know
what? That's the way it is. We're doing this whole new. We're not in a big major studio like we were before. We're trying to do it all from home, and we move on. And thank God we have each other to back each other up. Right
there you go. Exactly. I love this, and I think you might have done this in your news. Was it yesterday? Maybe Celebrity Trash. Did you see Christina Applegate getting her star on the Walk of Fame?
I didn't report it here, but I did see it, and it was so emotional.
I know.
She's had a bunch of health problems, Christina.
She has MS. Yeah, she has MS.
And wasn't she recovering from breast cancer, and now she has MS?
Oh, I didn't know that she had breast cancer.
I think it's one thing after another with her health, and so yeah, it's emotional, and you want to celebrate her.
Yeah. Did you watch that show, Dead to Me?
No, but I remember her was Married with Children, right?
Well, yeah, she was on Married with Children.
Yeah.
She's done a bunch of stuff, but she's on this show, this it's not a sitcom, but it's a show called Dead to Me. It's really funny and morbid. It's funny, more funny than morbid, and she's excellent on it. But this was her final season on it. She's been dealing with MS for a year. And it's so sad that, her career is obviously being impacted in this way. But at the same time, I think it's awesome. Her Married with Children co-stars were there while she was receiving her star on the Walk of Fame. She said she couldn't stand too long and that she was going to thank the people I really needed to thank. Katie Segal, David Faustino were the two people that were there with her as well. What did she say? She says, I've had a really interesting life, but the life started as a little girl waiting in line to see the first Star Wars on this very street at that very theater and looking at these things, the stars, and going, who are these people? What are these things? Did they do something right? Did they do something wrong? Whatever it is, I want one. I effing want one. I was 5 years old, so this day means more to me than you could possibly imagine. I get all choked up thinking about it. I mean, I get so sad for, things like that happening to people, and it's out of their control.
I was reading, she first underwent a lumpectomy after learning she had the BRCA1 genetic mutation associated with an increased risk of both breast and ovarian cancer. So she had a double mastectomy, and then she had her ovaries and her fallopian tubes taken out just to make sure. And now she has MS. So yeah, her journey toward health has not been an easy road.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that I've shared with you guys. My daughter's going through some stuff. She actually needed to get an MRI, and she wanted me to tell all of you that she was very brave getting an MRI because she got an IV, and she's awesome. Yeah. It's a lot for a kid to deal with. And, when you have a chronic illness like that, it can be tough to kind of, and as a parent that child, right? And be like, yes, it sucks. But there's all this other life that you have to live. And Christina Applegate, whether you're a celebrity or a 13-year-old or whatever, it's never easy. And I don't know, our heart just goes out to Christina Applegate. I love her. A smart woman. I know she played a ditz on Married with Children, but that was the whole thing. She was extremely smart. And yeah, Dead to Me, Joe chatted in, is great. You should really check it out. What channel is it on? I can't remember what channel or streaming service. I'm sure it is. Dead to Me is on, but it's a really good one, and you should check it out because she's excellent in it, and her co-star, the woman in it, is amazing. Okay, so we're getting ready for the holiday season, and a lot of people are looking for some deals out there. I've never flown on Spirit.
By the way.
Oh, thank you, Netflix. Netflix. You have Netflix, right, Kim?
Yeah.
Okay, so there you go. You should check it out. Okay, so have you ever flown on Frontier or Spirit Airlines?
I have flown, I believe, on Spirit Airlines.
Really?
Not realizing it was a super, super cheap. Yeah, I booked it. I booked a ticket on, I think it was like Hawaiian Airlines or something. And then they may have sold the ticket or partnered with Spirit. And then when I got to the airport, it was a Spirit airline. I'd never heard of it before. Come to find out, it's really cheap service, but not Frontier. And I probably won't again after this story.
Okay, so Frontier has their new Go Wild pass up for sale. They're teasing it as an all-you-can-fly deal. All right. Now the promotional cost for a year of flights $599. That sounds amazing to fly all year long. Now, but this covers the entire domestic map and Puerto Rico. The booking and travel clock starts May 2nd and then expires a year later. But as with all things, you need to read the fine print.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so you have to book the day before. You have to search and book on flyfrontier.com the day before your flight departure. Your pass will be valid for 1 year beginning May 2nd. For each flight, you'll pay 1 cent in airfare plus applicable fees, taxes, charges. You know that's going to add up.
So do you have to fly standby if you book, or you have to book the day before for every time you fly?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, you have to search and book the day before, not 2 days before. I have to plan these trips at the last minute. You can also purchase, because this will be added, bags, seats. Now, I'm assuming you get the actual seat for free, but you never know.
Seats? You have to, what?
I guess the seat position, I would hope. Again, you never know. Maybe they're like, oh, you have to stand this whole flight. I don't know. And then other ancillary products for each flight to customize your travel. And then you can repeat and book an unlimited number of flights for as long as the pass is valid. Now, there's also other things you should know. There's blackout periods. So let's see, just from looking at it casually, Memorial Day weekend, June 29th and 30th, 4th of July, August 31st, so Labor Day, that weekend, the beginning-ish of October, which I'm not quite sure what happens in the beginning of October, but something, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, around Valentine's Day, March Madness, I'm assuming, because pretty much all of March is blocked out, April, 2 weeks in April. I don't understand. What you have to figure it out a day before and then not be able to probably go because it's a blackout date. I don't know. I understand the flights are expensive. I wouldn't go through so much nonsense simply to pay, what, $599 for a quote unquote year of free travel. I don't think so. That's a bait and switch if I ever heard that.
Yeah. This from the same airline where a story came out. This is the story I.
Oh, okay.
From SF Gate comes this news flash. Let's see if I can bring it up for you guys. It's pretty crazy, but Frontier Airlines is being fined $2 million by the Department of Transportation for trickery.
Ah,
trickery.
I bet.
How do they trick people, one would ask? Well, apparently they tricked you by when you bought your tickets, they would say it is, you can cancel it and we'll pay you back, right?
Oh.
You cancel it up to a certain date.
Yeah.
And then after you bought, in some cases, allegedly, after a person would buy a ticket, the take back seats policy was changed. The return policy was changed. So yes, the Department of Transportation issuing a $2.2 million for Frontier because of the low-cost airlines' attempts to deceive customers during the pandemic. What they say is that Frontier Airlines failed to provide timely refunds to thousands of consumers and that the airline significantly changed policies, trying to thwart customers by modifying definition of a significant schedule change that would result in a refund. And then sometimes apparently applied the change in policy retroactively to passengers who purchased tickets under prior, more generous refund policies. So trickery. How embarrassing to be fined for trickery.
I don't think they care. I don't think Frontier or Spirit care. I think that they know who their customers are. These are customers that maybe, I need to make a quick trip. I have stuff over there. I don't need to pack a bag. I don't care about any of the frills. Give me whatever seat. I'll moo like a cow because I'm cattle. Doesn't matter to me. I think that's it.
You're looking for a very inexpensive flight. However, if customers, I think, that is engaged in behavior like that and fined by the federal government for trickery, then it's buyer beware, because it looks like, if who's going to do business with a company that isn't honest and on the up and up?
Ha! A lot of people. Yeah, they're just like, as long as I can get what I can get. Vanessa Pacheco reminds me of the SoCal Disneyland annual passes. They're cheap, but all the days you would want to go are blacked out. Doesn't stop people from going to Disneyland now, does it?
But see, the thing is, those passes that you're talking about, you buy from an
Uh-huh.
airline like Frontier. How do you know they're not going to change the policy in the middle of the year? Oh, does
Exactly.
it say in the fine print we reserve the right to change any of this at any time? And so then you go back and they're like, oh, by the way, we also added these extra dates to the times that you can't. Oh, and also you're going to have to pay this extra thing. And so then it becomes, well, why did I even buy this in the first place?
Yup, exactly. Now, if you're going to spend money on something, and I know, Kim McAllister, you love going to Hawaii, and we're planning a trip to Hawaii next summer. Lie flat seats in business class to Hawaii. You can get them for less than $2,000, which I guess is a good price.
No.
Apparently, Delta Airlines is offering business class lie flat seats on the flights to Hawaii, starting at $1,277. Is that good? $1,277?
No, that's
No?
not good. I mean,
Oh,
it's
okay.
good. It's good if you have extra money to spend that way, but I would say a good round trip airfare from California to any island in Hawaii would be around the $379 to $450 range. That's if
Yeah,
you
but this
planned
is
ahead and you really
this is
shop.
business.
Now,
Lay down and take a
I
nap seat.
understand, but nearly 2 to 3 times what I consider a bargain. So is it worth an extra grand for me to lie flat? I'm not thinking no.
Oh, this surprised me because Kim McAllister is the one that would rather save up for the fancy schmancy hotel, but not save up for the fancy schmancy flight, I guess.
Well, how long's the flight? It's like a 4-hour flight, you know?
I don't know. I haven't been to Hawaii since I was 13 years old, and I am
I don't
so
need to lie
excited.
flat for 4 hours. I can sit
Well,
up like a normal person.
exactly. And you save money and you could use it in Hawaii. Speaking of money, let's bring our very good friend and tax guy, tax attorney Steve Moskowitz with Moskowitz LLP back on the show. We're talking about saving money, spending money, but you need to have money, Steve. And you're the guy that can get money for some people through the ERC. Or
That's
something
right.
like that.
ERC, Employee Retention Credit. It's so exciting still. We've been working with this so much, but I still get excited when I see how much money some of our clients are getting. So ERC is where the federal government is basically paying employers a reward for paying employees during 2020 and 2021. And it's a grant. That means it's not a loan. It's free money. Do whatever you want with it. There's no restrictions. And they're paying up to $26,000 for every employee that you have that qualifies. So if you had 10 employees that qualified, that would be just over up to $250,000. If you had 20, just over up to $500,000, and so on. And I realize people's facts, circumstances, and results can differ, and not everybody qualifies. We've had individual clients that have gotten millions, and lots of clients, hundreds of thousands. And smaller amounts too. This is free money. So you say, okay, Steve, I'm convinced. What do I have to do to qualify? There's 2 ways, and I have a nickname for them. The first way is the way I call the easy way.
I like
And
it.
the easy way is a certain drop in gross revenue. It's a mathematical percentage. It's math. It's yes or no, light switch on or off, nothing to talk about. But a lot of the firms, a lot of the CPAs, and I was a CPA before I was a tax attorney, stop there and say, okay, if your gross revenue didn't go down, no ERC for you. No, wrong. That's not what the law says. Law says either or. There's another test. Now, the other test is a lot more complex, is why I think the other firms are not bothering with it, because they want to go in, just be quick and be done with it. We are willing to take the time with you. And I understand not everybody qualifies, and that's okay. The only thing we want is a chance to see if we can help you. If we can't help you, then we'll tell you, look, you don't qualify, and here's why. But the facts and circumstances, so many people qualify under that one that didn't have the drop in gross revenue. So the bottom line is, let's find out if you qualify. And if you do, let's get everything to which you're legally entitled. On the other hand, avoid like the plague the fraudsters. And the IRS is actively investigating a lot of frauds. And especially there are companies, not law firms, just anybody can form a company. And they say they're now in the ERC business. And, with their company, everybody qualifies. and just sign here. And the bottom line is they can get you in a lot of trouble. You do not want to be committing a tax fraud, and the government is actively investigating that. So again, keep away from the two extremes. You don't want somebody that can't be bothered with any way other than the easy way. That's your money they're giving away. But on the other hand, obviously you don't want to go to a fraudster that's going to get you in trouble. We're a tax law firm. We've been practicing tax law for over 30 years. We're here for you. We want to talk to you. And even this is so important, even if it takes multiple sessions, because sometimes when I talk to somebody, they just don't have the information, the answers on the first conversation. That's okay. If you don't, we'll set up an appointment and we'll talk to you a second time. If you qualify, let's get your money. And if you don't, we'll tell you why. But an awful lot of people qualify. And if you do, it's beautiful free money.
Free money. Two of like all of our favorite words. Who doesn't like free money? Steve is the guy to go to. He is not this fly by night. Oh, I created a business to give everybody like Oprah a new car or ERC money. Because when you pick up the phone in a few months, they may not be around anymore. So give Steve a call, 888 tax deal or moskowitzllp.com. That's moskowitzllp.com.
Always makes my day, Nikki.
Thank you, Steve. Talk to you soon. I don't care that you don't like it. I'm going to keep singing it, Andrew. I'm going to make Andrew like the butt of my... I like my jingle. I like my jingle. Okay. So I think that we've... let me read one more comment, though, about the debate about a lie flat seat. Judy W. disagrees with you, Kim McAllister.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to fly in a lie flat seat.
She wouldn't
Chronic
be the
pain.
first.
Yeah, I live with chronic pain. I always lay on my side because it takes pressure off my back. And I can only sit for so long until I want to lay down. Exactly. Yeah. And then Eric was responding to Randy, who said, I kind of do if I'm not lucky enough to get an emergency exit seat. I'm on the taller side. I don't have that problem.
Worth it. Worth that much money. I don't know.
You have a Steph Curry story, I hear. I hear. All
Yeah.
right, let's talk about Steffi.
There's this lawsuit among people that have endorsed FTC, the cryptocurrency company, before it went belly up. FTX, sorry. And so now the Warriors and Steph Curry are among the celebrities being sued for pushing this FTX, and he's listed as a defendant in a class action lawsuit along with several other celebrities. And as the former CEO is being investigated for fraud, crypto investors suing Curry and other celebrities like Larry David, Shaquille O'Neal, Tom Brady, David Ortiz, Naomi Osaka for what they're calling deceptive marketing in FTX's crypto products. They filed the suit today. The Warriors guard Steph Curry specifically and accused in the lawsuit of driving the adoption and the deceptive FTX platform, selling accounts to unsuspecting, unwitting retail customers. I hate
Makes
to
sense
see
to me.
Yeah. I hate to see anything bad happen to Steph Curry. I like only when good things happen to Steph Curry, but don't put your face and your likeness on something that you don't know about, right?
Well, I know that there's probably people, and I'm not trying to make excuses because Steph Curry should understand that with great power comes great responsibility. And if you're going to put your name, image, and likeness on something, then you need to be responsible for it. And just like, let me show the picture again. Tom Brady with his laser eyes, he took that picture off. Why? I bet you because of exactly what you just talked about.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, I need to stop promoting it because they're going to use this for the lawsuit against me. I'm sorry that your house of cards is falling down, but not really, as you can tell from my voice, because it doesn't make sense. It never really did. I know people made money on it. I know people make money on pyramid schemes all of the time, but a lot of people get screwed. A lot of people get screwed.
Natalie says, that's dumb. If I break my ankle in an Under Armour shoe, I'm not going to sue Steph.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying.
I don't research, no matter the celebrity that's endorsing it. That shouldn't be why you buy it, right?
I understand Natalie's analogy. I don't think it holds up here because they're promoting something that's like an Under Armour shoe is always going to be a shoe, right? Steph Curry is it bad investment advice? I'm not exactly sure what his role was in FTX, if it was just celebrity endorser, but I don't know. Randy, if you're an unsophisticated investor, wording used in the lawsuit, what in the world are you doing investing in crypto? Because Steph Curry told you to. That's probably their argument, Randy. Well, I was within Steph and all these celebrities and everyone was jumping on this bandwagon. I felt like a moron to not jump into the pyramid scheme and lose my ass.
Well, if Tom Brady's doing it and Steph Curry's doing it, it must be good.
I mean, it's dumb. I'll agree with Natalie that it is dumb, but it's dumb to take your real money and put it into fake money. It's not real, because when they cash out, they're getting dollars. Now, Randy, good point. Any celebrity or athlete that endorses something or some business that fails later on is somehow responsible. I want to know more. Like, all of these are great questions. Like, what is really the liability of Tom Brady and Steph Curry and all of these things? I don't know. We'll have to research it. Maybe I'll try to get somebody to explain it a little bit better. But
don't you think it's more embarrassing than anything? I mean, it diminishes then the next thing you endorse, right? So if you say,
not if it's tangible,
go buy thing X, and it turns out that thing X is a giant wad of crap, then no one's going to trust you the next time you come out and say, buy thing Z, right? So your I don't know, your trust
your name has been soiled.
Diminished. Yes, that's right. And that's the punishment. But as far as investors, you can't take anyone else's word for something. You have to go out and do your own research and investigate before you dump money into something that you don't understand, regardless of whose face is smiling at you on a picture saying, please do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's an excellent point. All of you guys are making excellent points. Murphy, if a Subway sandwich made you sick, would you see the celebrities who made that ad? True. I think, and I don't know, again, not a lawyer, I'm wondering if the fact that so many of them were taking like paychecks in crypto or something like that, I don't know. But great points. I don't know why Steph Curry and Tom Brady would have to take the fall for the failings of a company that they endorsed. Because why would anybody want to endorse anything anymore like that? And then, of course, we have to end it with Eric's buy My Pillows. Also, vote Trump. Exactly. The My Pillows and all those sorts of things. I think I think Mike Lindell's still making money off of My Pillows. I think he's still doing pretty well on that part. Although I could find them in Rite Aid now. So I don't know if he's still raking in the same amount of money that he did before, but we'll see.
I think the My Pillows were supposed to be like the cure-all for back pain and would make your neck at exactly the right height or whatever when you're sleeping, the right angle, and all that was proven false. That's all.
Yeah. No, we
crap.
Did years
There's
ago.
None of that.
Yeah, years and years and years ago, before I was with Chip, we did My Pillow ads on Station X, and they gave us some to try out. And I remember I was like, it was fine at the beginning, and I'm not trying to knock it, but it fell apart inside, in my opinion. And then of course everything that came out, I was asked it again. Like I ended the endorsement, and then because it ends, and then they were like, "Do you want to do it again?" And I said, "No, I can't do it." One, because of Lindell, and two, because the pillow, in my opinion, wasn't that good. So
don't believe in it. If you don't believe in it, you can't do it. I have a hard time putting my name behind anything I really believe in.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because, again, you want to put your name on something that you believe in, and at first the pillow was okay, and then it was not okay.
Well, I will say, at least if you buy a pillow, even if it's a bad pillow, you get a pillow. But when you buy FTX, you know what you get?
Nothing.
You get nothing.
You got nothing. A big old goose egg. All right, before we end the show, please click that thumbs up button. It's really quick and easy. And let's give some shout outs from our live chat. Thank you. Sylvia Banks with a $1.99 super chat. But I love this story from Lisa Howell Mensau. Hi, Nikki. On Chip and Nikki show, I won the Name That Tune Barbra Streisand tickets for my dad. He has since passed, but the memories will always be a joy. And she gave $9.99.
Nice.
You're
Yeah.
making me, Lisa. Oh my God. Just tear up thinking about that. Again, let's shout out Pamela Kirby, $4.99 super sticker. We not only got one $19.99 sticker, but also a $1.99 because Beth Farmer was like, I can't be a cheapskate and do that. Also, thank you to James Buchanan with
Thank
the
you, Beth.
$1.99 super sticker. Beth, James, Pamela, Lee, Sylvia,
Yeah.
so many of you. Thank you for supporting the show. Please go to our Patreon. And if you can, become a monthly subscriber. Any amount helps us with the show and keeps the lights on and keeps us working and chatting with all of you because we love you all so very much. So we'll have a nice show tomorrow. Again, right here on YouTube. It's between noon and 2. And take us away, Jacob.
Nikki, you're all so awesome. Miss Brown, like a beautiful blossom. You're all so the best. I really can't rest. You're all so awesome.
Wow. Okay.